Shalom, shalom. I would like to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rekakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, blessing, and safety to all the Akim out there pushing this truth throughout the four corners of the earth and to the hopeful elect out there. This is the brother Hadavyar coming back at you with another one. And, you know, starting off with our apostles, and the apostles, the elders and bishops, from the leadership on down of Great Millstone. We've been warning Israel of the incoming uh, micro CHIP, that chip that is going to be the main prophecy that has to take place before the return of Yahweh Shai. And we've been warning you and telling you what that chip is, what that mark is. And these other these other false leaders out there in Israel have been saying it's other shit, making up their own doctrine and breakdown of what the mark of the beast is. And that mark of the beast, it's a chip. It's going to be an RFID chip, that is going to be implanted, in the body, whether that's the arm, the hand, forehead. This is something that Esau is going to do in order to gain, control, in order to, fulfill world domination. And you damn false leaders out here have been, telling your congregation otherwise, or trying to spin it to like, spin it to something that it's not what it is, or just don't want to agree with the fact that what the apostles have been pushing for years, has been the truth all along. And if you can't see that the RFID chip is the mark of the beast, then the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai is not dealing with you. So I want to get Revelation 13:6, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So we the prophets of Yahweh Shem Yahushai have been warning the people, been saying, what this is, and saying different ways that it could, they could be presented, and we're seeing these, when watching some videos about IOIC, and like the apostles have been saying all along, when this thing happens, when it's not a secret anymore, a lot of these false leaders in Israel are gonna try to switch sides, or try to make it seem like what they were saying was right all along, even though they've been going off, just like how they were going off when they're telling people to take the C19 juice. Nobody in GMS was telling anybody to take that shit. But these leaders in these other camps were making it seem like it was okay, that if you got to do it, do it. And it's gonna be interesting when that MOTB when that mark of the beast comes out, and and what the people are gonna have to say. What these so-called leaders in Israel are going to say. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna tell their congregation to do? You know, and they're causing, they're causing people to go off. You know, at the end of the day, it's all controlled through Yahweh Shem Yahushai, but that blood is going to be on them. You know, those the leadership in IUIC and and in these other groups, they're gonna have to explain, to the Most High as to why, they've been pushing, a false doctrine and a false narrative. They're gonna have some explaining to do. This is Isaiah 9:16. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they are led of them are destroyed. And that's exactly what's going on. These these leaders and these other camps, are leading the people to be destroyed, leading them to the slaughter. Saying, just come on down this way. Just to be judged. Just like how I'm pretty sure a lot of people in these congregations, they went and took the juice, and now all this information is coming out, and people are regretting it. I know a lot of people that took that shit, that regretted it. That said, if there was something like that ever again, that they wouldn't take it. But talk is cheap, because once you're stripped away from doing certain things, people are gonna give in, and that's exactly what it's gonna be like, with the MOTB. You're gonna lose jobs, you're gonna lose everything if you do not, partake in that. And what are these leaders gonna say then? Oh, it's okay. Take it if you have to keep your job. It's okay. Take the chip if you gotta, feed your baby. And that's not so. That's not so. So these leaders are leading their people, just to be destroyed, just to be judged, and that's going to be on them. This is Matthew 15:14. Let them alone; they be blind, leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch. So you have these leaders out here are they're all gonna end up in the same place, and that's and could be that lake of fire when one of those ICBMs touch down and start destroying the place. That's what they're leading their people into. Because if you take that chip, if you take that mark, you're signed yourself up for a serious punishment. You sign yourself up for a date in the lake of fire. And you're gonna regret. You're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret it. Only the apostles. Starting off with the apostles and elders of GMS have been, teaching what this MOTB is, and it's never switched up. It's always it's always been one thing. It's not one day it's this, it's not one day it's that, it's not maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Let's think about if it's this. No, we know what it is. Through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, the elect know what it is. And it's not gonna, and it won't catch us by surprise. The elect are good. When the mark of the beast is not a secret anymore, The elect are gonna know. Elect are gonna know what's good. Because and I say, the hopeful elect, Lord willing, that's us. That we're paying attention. We're seeing the news articles. We see this technology. We see where technology is going, especially with all this AI. This AI is taking over. Everything is AI now. All these phones have AI. All these apps have AI, and you can really see, like, that's the direction that is going into, to merge, to merge human with AI, and that's exactly how they can present, that chip, is to merge yourself with AI. This is Galatians 4:16. Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? You know, and a lot of that's how, especially within Israel, a lot of people, they look down on GMS, because of the harsh, bitter truth that is the truth. We it's nothing is based off of what we think. It all comes down to the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And truth hurts. So a lot of people don't like to hear that. They don't like to hear what about the MOTB and what it really is, and what you're gonna have to go through if you don't take it, and what's gonna happen to you if you do take it. They don't want to hear that truth. Because there's no easy side to it. You take it, you're fucked. You're doomed. You're missile food. You don't take it, you're gonna be an outcast. You're gonna truly have to rely on Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to get you through that time of Jacob's trouble, to get you to the end, to make it onto the chariots. So there's either way is not easy, but there's only one right way. There's only one righteous way, and that's not taking the chip. The only righteous way is believing in your power and trusting in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. This is Ezekiel 33. I'll start at verse 1 and just kind of jump around a little. And this is in the NLT. Once again, a message came from the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Son of man, give your people this message. When I bring an army against a country of people of that land, choose one of their own to be a watchman. When the watchman sees the enemy coming, he sounds the alarm to warn the people. So that's what we're doing now. Us of the hopeful elect. We're constantly warning Jake of what's to come, the doom that's going to come, that chip, these wars that are happening. We're constantly warning Israel. Pay attention, get right. Repent. Verse 4, then those who hear the alarm refuse to take action in their own fault, they die. So, that's exactly what's going to happen. That's what's happening to 2/3 of our people. They're not going to take heed to the warning. They're not going to take heed to what, the men are, the prophets of Yahweh Shem Yahushai have been warning them and telling them what to do. Those men who so-called look like bums, those men who so-called think that they have no jobs and no life because week in and week out, we're out there glorifying the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. You don't want to take action to the words of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, then that's on you. Our job's done. We don't care. They heard the alarm but ignored it. So the responsibility is theirs. If they had listened to the warning, they could have saved their lives. But if the watchman sees the enemy coming and doesn't sound the alarm to warn the people, he is responsible for their captivity. He will die in their sins, but I will hold the watchman responsible for their deaths. And that's exactly what's going on right now with all these other whack camps within Israel, especially IUIC. They want to talk about everything else. They're not saying of the doom that's coming. Yes, they're preaching Israel is Israel, and who Esau is and all that type of stuff. We're not warning the people of what's to come, telling them what's to come, preparing them, getting their spirit, their minds right for the difficult time that is upon us. Instead, they want to build up communities, go to this part and that part, as if this place is our rest. Like Scripture says, the